Hello, it's the Late Challenge. It is Monday. I'm Gareth Roberts. He's Mo Stewart. We're in our normal places. And the Reds are back this weekend, which is good, isn't it? Because, well, we'll talk about that. We'll get into that. But look, loads of doom and gloom about at the moment around the Reds, obviously, rightly so. But equally, get to go to the match, and that's good, isn't it? Now, look, I thought I'd start with saying this isn't a place where international football normally gets much love. But we are aware of our audience. We do know we've got a lot of Irish that tune in. So we've got to mention the island scenes, haven't we? Because, that was phenomenal. That was fantastic stuff. The commentator, whoever he is, did a fantastic job as well. Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. 6 minutes of stoppage time. They score, they win. They're in the playoffs. And obviously they've not had too much to cheer about for some time, so fair play. It was tremendous. Maybe not so much for Szoboszlai and Kirkes. Big Dom shedding a tear afterwards. But yeah, Troy Parrott. Some name that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Troy Parrott. Some name that, isn't it? Sorry.
It's a little glitch. Yeah, if you didn't get that, then it means you probably were born in this century. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it when people come out of nowhere, and like obviously Spurs fans tell you that they knew he had some talent in him, but
played with Kane, didn't he?
Yeah, like that was the first time an Irish player scored a hat-trick outside of Ireland ever, which is insane to think about it. But then when you add to the fact that he'd already scored 2 to beat Portugal earlier in the week, it could be like the greatest week of his entire life. Like, scored 5 goals, maybe could send Ireland to the World Cup. Like, just
and it clearly, there's so many players, aren't there, that you see sometimes, especially at the very top level, where you kind of get the impression, like, they're not that arsed. They're picking up loads of dough. They're living this, millionaire lifestyle and all the rest of it. And they're a bit like, but it clearly meant something to him.
Yes.
His interview after was brilliant as well. So yeah, it was fantastic. That, unfortunately, I don't have seemingly a huge percentage of Merseyside. I have no claims to the Emerald Isle. So I was just satisfying myself over the weekend by not watching England, and instead I bought some Christmas presents. I spent time with my lad. I had another meet with the potential dog housemate, and little Ol met him as well. That all went well. I had a bevy, watched the boxing, and that was it really. What did you get up to?
So you won't be surprised to hear that I did watch England twice. The second time, ultimately regrettable. But so Lindsay was away in Centre Parks this weekend, so I basically had the time to myself, and I just decided to not do much. Like, it's easy to forget that sometimes doing nothing on purpose is allowed.
Yeah, it's doing something.
Yeah.
Doing nothing is doing something.
Exactly. So I had what I call a good old fashioned sporgy that I haven't had in ages.
Wow.
Sporgy, sporting orgy. Yes, an orgy of sports, if you will. So I did loads of international football. To be honest, I want to shout out to Greece against Scotland, because that was also an absolute banger of a game. But I watched loads of rugby. I watched England, New Zealand. I watched Wales. Yeah, I love rugby. So what? Like, get over it. I watched basketball. I watched NFL. I watched it all. Like, if it was on, I watched it. We also watched the boxing as well. And I really enjoyed being able to say, okay, look, that thing that we were talking about before, there's lots of kind of frustration and darkness. That is also part of what we love about sports. But this is the same thing, but it's detached from that. So there's none of that kind of crowd. I can just enjoy sports for what it is, the spectacle, the joy, the passion, all those kind of things. Because they were still in there in these other sports. I even did something I haven't done in ages. I stayed up till 4 a.m. watching cricket. But I've got to get myself match fit because the Ashes are coming up at the weekend. So I've got to get used to being awake at 5 o'clock watching disappointing cricket. So I really enjoyed my weekend. I'm not going to lie.
Excellent stuff. Well, Now, I did. For those that attended the live show, thanks again. Obviously wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to say thanks on the show last week, so I'll say it this week. Thanks. It was a big success. It went well. We enjoyed ourselves. Hopefully, everyone who come along did as well. I was with someone who was there over the weekend, and he said yet again that he enjoyed it and that his mates did, so that was good. But anyone who went will know that it was also your birthday.
Indeed.
Because it was mentioned on a number of occasions.
About 5 or 6 by the end of it.
Through the show. If you didn't go to the show, by the way, there's bits and bobs out there. So we've put a section of the show on Patreon, so you can watch the questions bit of the show. Some of the rest of the show didn't really sort of age well, given that we got tonked by Man City, and some of the bits I just don't want in the public domain. So that bit's on Patreon. There's some best bits on YouTube as well, which you can watch for free if you're a minge bag and don't throw in. And but yeah, on the day, I of course did get you a card.
You did,
and a couple of small presents, but one didn't arrive in time.
Ooh,
and it's arrived.
Wow!
So your birthday continues.
Amazing.
Here you go, mate.
Oh, look at this.
Didn't wrap it because it's not your birthday.
No, that's fine.
That's what lads do, innit?
Exactly. No, I'm surprised. Oh, double
What's
box.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Oh. Yes. Oh, yes. And it's got the red motif as well, so it matches all my other mugs. It's a Mick McCarthy mug, for those of you who can't see or those who are watching.
Had to be.
Oh, and a good likeness as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, thanks, mate.
Yeah, no worries. So what does it say on it? I can't even remember now.
It can't be it can't be brew time, can it? It can.
It is right. I'm still buzzing as well about the fact that we got a message off Mick and included that in the show. That's on the highlights. Made sure that was in there.
Well, that was my present to you.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I was absolutely made up to see Mick on there. And I like this little joke about the late challenge as well. Made a few of them, me son. Fantastic, really good. No, it isn't from Temu. Someone asked if it was from Temu. It was off Etsy.
Oh, nice.
If you want to go and buy one. Right, we've got to talk about the Reds. The international breaks are now over until March, which is fantastic. There is, of course, the Africa Cup of Nations, though.
Yes.
And Mr. Mo will be getting off, not our Mr. Mo.
I'll be here.
The Mr. Mo who plays for Liverpool be getting off for about potentially 7 or 8 games. Just negotiations going on. We're not getting into that. I'm just doing some admin. But yeah, no more actual international breaks in terms of the other shite until March. Now, we're talking of shite. Liverpool have been shite. No two ways about that. Can't really polish the turd. Losing 7 of the last 10 games has been no fun at all. It's fair to say. So, as the saying goes, if you can't support us when we lose or draw, don't support us when we win. Now, on that, there's some people out there who keep fucking saying that, and they keep posting it on social media every time Liverpool hits a bit of a sticky patch, and they will attribute said quote to Bill Shankly. He didn't fucking say it! They might even post a picture of him alongside it, or a picture and a quote complete as a meme. And then I'll say to them, when they post it to me, he didn't say it though, mate. And then they'll argue with me, and I'll argue back. And I'll be like, there is literally no evidence that Bill Shankly ever said that. That is your first Victor Meldry moment of the show.
It's good to have you back, mate. No, you know what? It's funny because you mentioned Shankly in particular. I think alongside Martin Luther King, he's possibly the most misquoted person in popular culture because, like, the amount of times you've heard football's life and death. He didn't say that one either, did he?
Well, not in the way so many people interpret it.
No.
I think it's fair to say, yeah.
But yeah, I think the sentiment behind of it is obviously like, if you're a supporter, there are good times and bad times, and you shouldn't just completely junk them when there's bad times. That part,
it's fair. It's
fair,
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, people aren't necessarily doing that. They're just sometimes venting at the fact that they've been bad. Like we're still going to keep turning up. Like, I think that's important to notice as well.
Steve's made a quote up in the comments which I like, he says, if you can't support us when we're losing, then fuck off when we win, fool. Mr. T.
It just sounds like one of those really bad memes that you see on social media. It's like
it is one of those really bad memes. It's like when people make. I mean, some people, some of it's clearly not serious. Like I can remember like when Brendan was here, and obviously like he liked the sound of his own voice. It was fair to say, and he came up with some shite at times. Yes. And I can remember this thing. Someone made this awful thing of like Shankly and a fucking cloud like talking to Brendan.
I've seen that.
Like, no, you know what I mean? Like I feel like Manx are making that or something and putting it on the internet and pretending to be Scousers or something just so they can buzz off us, because stuff like that just wow. Anyway. But yeah, another phrase I do like that is in the LFC lexicon is football is the excuse, people are the reason, which was a great video that LFC made a few months back when we won the league. Remember that? It was a dad and lad video, and one of them, well, I think it was the dad, came out with it on the video. Football is the excuse, people are the reason. And I really like that. It keeps sort of floating around in my head because, you know, we've had this international break purgatory. Certainly for me, it is purgatory. But now we get to go to Anfield. We go to our pubs. We go to our specs. We see our mates. We sing, we shout, we have a laugh. And all of that is good. Now, of course, there's the bit where you're like, yeah, but are the Reds any good and all that? Well, I don't think this is too spinny, and I don't think, hopefully someone won't accuse me of being in bed with the club this week. Really? Really? I'd love you to ask people at the club if they think I'm in bed with them. But anyway, so... yeah, where was I? I've distracted myself. Oh yeah, it's that Liverpool are good at Anfield. I want to talk about that. So Liverpool are better at Anfield, it is fair to say, obviously. And even this season, you know, Real Madrid found that out, didn't they? So in the Premier League, we've won 4 out of 5 at Anfield. On our travels, we've lost 4 out of 6. Further, we've won 17, drawn 4, and lost 1 of our last 22 home league games. So I'm just sort of like saying... can we remember this?
Yeah.
Can we take this energy into the ground and maybe the players too? You know, have a think about that. Have a think about like it's important to have a good home record. It's important to perform in the majority, in front of the majority of your match-going fans. And look, there's all kinds of studies. I've written about it for years about sort of, you know, like there's been studies about even the influence on officials. There's been studies about that. You know, there's like almost a primal thing to it as well, where it's like you are defending your territory, and that's one of the reasons for the home and away thing. Whatever the reasons, we have got 3 of our next 4 games on our turf, at our home, in front of our fans. So can this be the start of a much-needed mini revival?
It can.
It can.
No, but the home thing, I think, is something that Liverpool have leaned on plenty of times down the years when they haven't been at their best. And I think outside of that kind of weird COVID period that we don't talk about, like, I think it's always been a fear or even just a trepidation about opposing teams coming to Anfield. I think no matter how bad Liverpool have been at any point, if you're an opposing team, you know that there's a chance that you might get half an hour into the game and you're 2-0 down and you're looking around thinking, what the hell's happening? Liverpool have always got the ability to do that. Liverpool score early goal, crowd gets going, everyone gets up, everyone's chest goes out, everyone runs a little bit faster, a little bit harder, and then suddenly you get a second goal and it feels fantastic. It can be frustrating to think, why can't they do that elsewhere? But like you say, let's concentrate on the fact that they can do it here.
But also as well, I mean, so a mate of mine, Tony, knocked at mine today. He sometimes watches, so if you're watching, so all right, mate. And he made a good point. He's very to the point, it's fair to say, in the way he speaks about most things, which I like. I like a to the point person. And he said today, well, we were shite loads of times last season, but still won. So if you know, and I think there's a point in that. In that it's like the idea that we can't start winning games because we've been shite. We can. We just need to sort of tighten up a little bit, basically, don't we? Like, it's not, you know, we are capable of winning games. We did have a 7-match run of winning games before it all turned to shit against Crystal Palace. We did, you know, win well at Frankfurt, albeit that they just basically went, go ahead, lads. And of course, we had the little sort of mini revival. Hopefully, this is a bigger one this time when we beat Villa and Real Madrid. It did
Not insignificant, by the way.
Yeah, good results. But you then expected that to be carried into Man City, and it very much was not.
No, it wasn't. But no, I do have some faith that some of those home comforts can come back, and some of the things we saw in those Villa and Real Madrid games can come back. I think the interesting part of it for me is around the team selection, because obviously those Madrid and particularly the Villa sides looked a lot more like last season than a lot of the other teams that we've seen so far this season. And obviously, they've bought these new players, so eventually they're going to need to find a way to play well with these new players. But I think kind of adding them piece by piece, brick by brick almost, makes it a little bit easier, makes it a little bit more to believe that they can actually build something sustainable. But I do think, personally, I think this season's just going to be a roller coaster, and we've had roller coaster seasons before where you think, okay, they're building up ahead of steam, and then just one mad result will come out of nowhere and put us back on our ass. But then they'll get back up and they'll go again, and they'll get to somewhere passable, I think, by the end of the season. But something a little bit more. I know we're going to get into some more stats and some of the more negative stats. I heard a very good one today, which surprised me. So the 10 games we've played so far this season that we played last season, so basically not Burnley, all of the other league games, last season, those league games generated 18 points. This season, those 10 games have generated 15 points. So to your point before about how last season sometimes we were short as well, we're only 3 points down on the season from last year. So there's loads of fixtures to come where we did well in last year, where hopefully we can continue that run. So
some of those are like those beach fixtures that weren't they? I mean, like, Chelsea, the league was won.
Well, yeah, but we lost that both times. Yeah. But I mean, so like obviously Newcastle last season, it ended up 3-3. We conceded a last-minute goal. This time, 3-2, we scored a last-minute goal. But that's a 2-point swing. Arsenal, and we were 2-0 up. They pulled it back and went 2-2. This time, we won the game 1-0. So there are some positives, and you can look at it and say that it's been bad, but we're still not that far away from where we were last season, which I think is kind of surprising.
Well, the little run that I'm referring to, what we've got coming up next, you probably know that we've got Forest on Saturday, at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Ooh, they still do exist. I mean, just starting with that, really. I like a 3 p.m. me still. I would say I am a bit of a traditionalist, and I like history, and I like things to feel like they feel like, and it's gone too far for me with the influence of TV on fixtures. It's just absolutely fucking wild.
Yeah.
I mean, even the first game this season, it's all right for us that we're playing 8 o'clock on a Friday night because, you just get up and go around the corner and go to the game, sound. But Bournemouth, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this sort of like total lack of consideration for match-going fans on the regular. Always late with when they announce the TV changes and things like that as well. I just think it absolutely takes the piss, and it regularly does me head in. So when I see Saturday 3 o'clock, I'm like, oh.
Everyone knows how to
watch
plan.
Grandstands.
Yeah, everybody knows how to plan their day around a Saturday 3 o'clock because we've been doing it for years and years and years. It's set in stone. And obviously now we're so used to Liverpool having every game that they play televised. So if you're not lucky enough to live close enough or even to get a ticket, then you're glad to see Liverpool games on the telly. And when it's a Saturday 3 o'clock, it means that it's not on the telly in England. So it is it is more difficult for a lot of people. But I don't know, maybe for us who do get to go into the ground, it does feel special still. It does feel like, we are the first ones to get to see this, if you know what I mean. We are the special few, and I always take that energy into the ground whenever it's at 3 p.m. Even if technically I have to be a little bit more professional than I have been in the past.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back in the ground, seeing the Reds, hopefully see the Reds win. Forest, in case you haven't been paying attention what they're up to, they have not won away from home in the Premier League this season. They've drawn 2 and they've lost 3 on the road. They've scored 2 and they've conceded 9. And they've actually lost more games than even us. 8 so far. They have beaten Brentford, Porto and Leeds. That's it so far for them in terms of wins. They did, of course, come here last season and win 1-0. But that was 2 managers ago, and we also drew 1-1 at their place. So they are now on their 3rd manager of the season, Dyche. So we are going to see some Dyche ball. But to be fair to the Dyche fella, to be fair to the gravelly voiced fella, Forest are actually averaging more shots per game under him than under Nuno or under Big Ange.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not massively surprised by that because, I mean, Ange, he's an attacking manager, but what he wanted to do, they just didn't have the players to see.
Wild appointment.
It was wild. It was basically the owner appointing one of his mates.
Yeah,
and it went as wrong as that sounded like he should do. But yeah, he's going to get them more organised. Like you mentioned, the fact they've only won 3 games. One of them was their last game. So they were feeling good about themselves in that respect. They'll have had a good break to be able to think, okay, well, maybe this is a time where we can start climbing the table. And I do think it's ironic that after the first time we don't score in a game since the last time Forest come to town, that they're back. So hopefully this is something. I mean, we made a joke about how often Arne Slot referenced that Forest game last season. Hopefully, like you can just imagine him in the meetings. It's like, look, you lot owe me a win in this game. Like, you owe me a performance in this game. Like, he's going to want to win this game 4-0, probably more than most other games that we play all season.
It's like Klopp with Palace, wasn't it? That fucking Crystal Palace. It did definitely bug him. There's no 2 ways about that. So let's hope he can dream up something that gets the best out of the Reds on Saturday. In terms of, it is obviously still early in the week and there will be press conferences and all the rest of it later on the week. But as to what we know now and have heard and things like that, there has been the suggestion that Alisson could be back for this. I think Mamardashvili's done all right, but he's an obvious downgrade on Alisson because Alisson's one of, if not the best keeper in the world.
Yes.
And one of, if not the best goalkeeper to play for Liverpool, in my opinion. So having him back's huge. I mean, I sort of like, when I'm there on the cop, I can sort of feel his presence if you like just watching him because he looks a bit mad. He looks like he looks like he's going to throttle you. He's got them mad. Or he did have them mad black gloves at one stage, which made him look even madder.
Like the Undertaker.
But I just think like him being there, a bit like what you were saying before about the idea of, getting understanding back and things like that. That the defence are used to playing with him. We saw, the fact that Mamardashvili's left-footed. We saw them go the.
They were still playing balls on his wrong side against City. He was doing my head in.
And so, having that little bit of comfort blanket back of having him in goal, I think is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I need to shout out the fact that he's a fantastic human as well. I don't know if anyone was aware, but one of my good friends has been going through some times, and he took the time out of his day after training to send a get well message. So he will always be one of my favourite people.
Yeah, that's great.
Aside from the fact that he, like you say, is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen play for Liverpool, probably the best that's ever played for Liverpool. People will debate that for the rest of eternity, but I've never seen anyone better. And I think he makes everybody else calmer. Like Virgil and Ibu play differently when he's behind them. So like, I think back to the United game, and everyone was criticising Virgil because he kind of stopped. He didn't go with the run. I'm only assuming, part of the reason is because if Alisson was there, he's like, oh, well, I just want to get that. Like, I'm not going to get in his way. I'm just going to let him do his thing. And more often than not, he does it. So it's just a big old security blanket to throw back on everything, which means that if Liverpool perhaps aren't at their best straight away, and there have been times after an international break where they aren't immediately at their top gear. Yeah. So maybe there's a period in the game where it's a little bit backwards and forwards. Maybe Forest get themselves a big chance.
It'd be nice if we fucking started the game well.
It would.
You know, like this sort of like giving up the first goal and a first goal being scored early and all that. It's happened too many times in our games. And like, you know, I've got something on the agenda somewhere, but I'll just vibe it. It was about game state and the fact that, you know, it's too often we're chasing a game and we're chasing a game from the fucking start. And it's like, it'd be great to see them start fast, start aggressive, you know, trying to do a little bit of what they did against Everton. And win the game, you know, instead of this sort of like have a bit of a look, let the opponents in, lose the early challenges, let them into the game. But you know, fuck all that off.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see us get a grip of it. And we're at home, like I've already said, and all of those things. So you're right that, you know, we have seen them start slow after international games a lot of times, but there's sort of no place for that in this current run, I don't think.
I think also Forest, I've always been traditionally in the recent past a team who are happy to let opponents have the ball. So that can work in Liverpool's favour. Can you be on the front foot? I'm hoping what that doesn't mean is that we see Virgil and Canate kind of passing it to each other, rolling the ball to each other at the edge of theirs.
Completely take any tempo out of it.
Yeah. Get on them. Give them a problem every few seconds. If you're not running with someone, you're passing it to someone who's going to run at someone. Just really kind of keeping that intensity high, because I think that's how you get the fans on side. You show that passion, you show that intensity, you show that desire to go out there and make the play. And even if it doesn't come off, even if you're close with a few, maybe one that goes by the bar or something like that, if people can see, okay, they're actually up for this one, then you're going to kind of give them a little bit more time, there's going to be a bit more patience for them to go out there and get that breakthrough. But yeah, this is a game where I think a good win will really set up the next few weeks. But I don't know about you. Right now, I would sign off on an 89th minute 1-0 off someone's ass.
Sign off on anything. Any win, any 3 points, just fucking win. I mean, the other thing is that we should, at least in theory, have Isak available, but also Isak hopefully closer to making a meaningful contribution. Which, you know, we've not really seen too much of as yet. I think that would be huge if he's something like getting close to his best. Because, again, you know, for all the talk and the random talk and the stuff that, you know, Liverpool being Liverpool generates, Liverpool spending loads of money, everyone's going to keep creating content over and over again, you know, ad infinitum about they've wasted this is the wrong sign and this is blah, blah, blah. With him, I feel as though there hasn't been too much apart from all the criticism of how he got his move, because he just clearly hasn't been fit.
No.
And then he's literally being injured. So it's like, come on, we want to see the real Isak now.
Yeah, it's about time you kind of got that Superman cape out and showed us what you're about. And I think he probably feels that way too. Like this is the other thing I always think about when people are criticising players and stuff and saying, oh, well, he's not been worth the money, he's not been this, he's not been that. They don't need anybody to tell them when they haven't been playing well. They know it. They understand it. He has been in this league long enough to know exactly what is expected of him. He knows that it's up to him to be able to be the difference in games where if the team's not at their best, go out there, score a goal, get out of sometimes a goal out of nothing. I mean, we did that so well last season. Like it would just be a bit of a nothing game, and then suddenly Salah or Gakpo or Diaz will pop up with a goal. Suddenly we're 1-0 up, and like, all right, we're in this now.
We outscored everyone in the league last season, you know, and then, you know, it wasn't unreasonable to say, well, and you're adding this now, you know, and you're bringing these lads in. It was like, okay, you know, Slot talked about the weapons and different weapons and all that kind of stuff, and you thought, oh, bloody hell, you know, we could absolutely blow everyone away here, and then obviously it's not really turned out that way. Just an update on Matthew's baths. Long-term watchers and listeners will know that his baths proved to be lucky. And so he's updated us. He says, I watched the rugby myself, Mo, and I got in the bath at 12-0 down. You know the rest. He says it was a superb game, but sadly I can't take the bath to the match on Saturday. Hopefully I won't need it.
I mean, you can't take it with you, but you need to have one.
You need to have one on match day, lad.
Yes.
Like, you know, like the football gods are watching. They need to see you scrubbing your back in the morning before you get yourself down to the match.
The people have been joking with me that because I went to a wedding before going to the Villa game and I was wearing like a suit and tie at the game, and people were joking to me saying, "Oh, you're gonna have to keep wearing that now. Liverpool won a game," because obviously the Villa was the first game we won in a while. But then I didn't wear it for Real Madrid, and they still won, so I'm all right with that. But obviously, it's technically be a Premier League thing, so I'm not wearing it on Saturday. But if Liverpool don't get a result, then I may be wearing it the next time they play at home in the league. I'm just going to put it out there because, all hands to the deck and all that.
After Forest, hopefully 3 points for the mighty Reds. We are back at Anfield midweek next week with PSV. So my little bit of research on them is they are top of the Dutch league. They've only won 1 of 4 in Europe, though, albeit that they tonked Napoli.
Did you see that game?
No, he went down to 10, didn't he, Napoli?
Yeah, like it was a weird one because Napoli took the lead and
6-2 was it?
6-2 ended. So basically it was like 3-1 twice. So Napoli took the lead, then PSV came roaring back, got to 3-1. Then they had the red card, and then they scored another 2, and then Napoli got another. So yeah, it was a bit mad, but they were good. And the only slight thing in the back of my mind where I'm a bit like, ooh, is that they do play a little bit English. Like they aren't afraid of a long ball. They're not doing the mad throw-ins or anything like that, but they can be direct if they need to, and they've got some speedy guys on the outside. Although one of them is Perisic, who's like nearly as old as us. So, but Liverpool should be able to beat PSV.
Yes, we should, and yes, we can. And let's shout them on. Let's get behind them, and let's make sure we're all doing our bit. And let's fucking get out of this rut, please. The Reds are 8th currently in the Champions League standings at the moment, so we are inside the zone for avoiding a playoff. PSV are currently 18th. Now, at the top of the show, I did mention Mr. Parrott and what a good name that was. So it's only right that I mention that PSV have got a defender called Ryan Flamingo. Just thought I'd throw that in. What a name that is.
Does he do like a one-footed tackle or anything like that? Is he any Flamingo
Not sure. No idea on his signature moves, but some name. Hi, I'm Ryan Flamingo. Thanks to Case. They are only called Case. They're calling themselves Case, who has thrown in $1.99 and says, shout out to Georgie for beating cancer.
Yes, shout out to Georgie.
Is right, girl. We knew you'd do it. If anyone was going to do it, you would do it. So yes, indeed, and thanks for the $1.99 Case. I was having a look at their results. They score a lot of goals, don't they? But they score a lot of goals, in their league. So there's always that caveat. But there's lots of, there's lots of 5s and 6s and stuff like that in the season. There was a 5-3 earlier in the season. They've had the 6-2 against Napoli. They had the 5-2 in only a couple of games ago. Last game they won 5-1 at Alkmaar.
Yeah.
They've been scoring some goals, so it could be a bit mad.
Yeah, I mean, we played them last season, didn't we? And that game was a bit mad, even though we were already
done them, weren't we? Yeah, a bit of a dead rubber job.
Played a bit of a mad team, and to be fair, their best player that day, Johan Bakayoko, now plays for Leipzig, so that's a big plus. But yeah, they've got players who know where the goal is, so we're going to need to be on our mettle. But again, it's another one of those games where I think we can go out there and impose ourselves, hopefully having come off the back of doing exactly that at the weekend and go into it confident. And I always think Arne Slot is never going to say this, but he absolutely wants to beat the Dutch teams.
Yeah.
Like he wants to get one over, and like Peter Bosz is the manager of PSV. He's another bald Dutch man, but he will absolutely want to get one over on him and just remind everyone, I am the elite bald Dutch man. So hopefully that helps.
As long as Arnold hasn't got the slip-ons on. Mo mentioned before that I've got a bit of a mad stat. I've got to throw it in really because I just seen it this afternoon and thought, fucking hell. We've tried to be positive here, but like I said earlier on, if the Reds have been as bad as they have and they've lost 7 games in 10, there's only so much we can do. We have to deal with the facts, and the facts are, as Michael Reed on his Substack has pointed out, that since the start of May, Liverpool have conceded 36 goals in 22 games in all competitions, which is an average of 1.6 per game. Now, that's the second most of any club in Europe's Big Five leagues, behind only Wolves, who've conceded 39. So that's mad, isn't it?
It is mad. So that tells you. So the team that's at the bottom of the league in France, in Italy, in Germany, and in Spain have conceded less goals than Liverpool. And I mean, you can almost caveat that by saying the teams who were at the bottom in May got relegated. But even then, there's still going to be a similar amount of games. Like, that's bad. And when you think about the start of last season, how that was our superpower, just getting through games and just not even not conceding goals, but not conceding loads of shots. Like, it just seems no one had the formula to be able to get anywhere near Alisson, let alone get a goal in. And now it just seems so different. And yes, we'll talk about the fact that so much has changed, and that's obviously going to have an effect on it. But I think as much as the new players are coming in and all that kind of stuff, the guys who have been there, with the exception of Alisson, haven't been as good.
No, they haven't been as good, but also as well, I do wonder about sort of, the tweaking of what they're doing as well, which, you can see, and also we've heard about, and, just a little, you had Gravenberch obviously going on about, more license to be further forward and stuff like that. Can we take the license off him for a bit? Can he just get back to being the fella who was absolutely great at 6 and was mopping up? Because, I think you could see it at City, couldn't you, where, they're having a go at each other. They're having a go at each other about where they are. And I think, Everton's sort of having this knock-on effect. And everyone's talking about Mo not tracking back and all that kind of stuff.
It's the only thing that hasn't changed.
But, I mean, to be fair, if you compared and contrasted, like, his 2 performances at City, he did the previous time, and he didn't this time. And it was like, well, again, if you're in the mire and if you're in the shit and you're just trying to get out of the shit, maybe do for that game, which is going to be difficult, and you could see the tough time that Bradley was having and things like that. And, you can see the knock-on effect, and you can see how, now Gravenberch's worried, and now Konate's worried, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, come on, can we just be like, I'm not really, you just said it before, I'm not bothered really about being entertained right now.
No,
I just want a result.
Yes,
I want to win. Like you think about, that is such a big thing. Like, you'll take anything when we're in a run like this. It's like the little cartoon that you used to have in the Pink Echo. The copite jumping with his rattle when you've won, the little candle when it was a draw, and then, the in despair when it was defeat. Like, that is how we live football, isn't it, very unfortunately? And you shouldn't do. And, you should tell yourself that it's not that important and it shouldn't impact on the rest of your life and blah, 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 blah. But, for the likes of ourselves doing this kind of thing, there's no fucking escape.
No.
Like genuinely, like, the thought did go through my mind over the weekend. Should we sack it off? Should we just not come in this Monday and we'll just say, well, do you want after Forest if we've won? And I thought, no, you can't do that. We've been here every week for two and a bit years or whatever.
So, I mean, one of the things that I genuinely thought about while sitting there watching the final 10 minutes of the game against City was I was thinking about how many times we're going to have to talk about this game. It ended up, I counted 6 times. So if you include the match report and then podcasts I've done for various different outlets, 6 times I had to talk about that game. Like, that's not fun. And it just so happens that it would be that game, because obviously I'm not talking about every single game 6 times. It just so happened to be that one. But it's so much more fun when there's a result. And one of Arne Slot's favourite things to say is we in football are far too fixated on results when coaches and players are more looking at performance. Performance is a better indicator over a long period of time as to whether a team is good or not compared to results, because there are so many variables in results in terms of refereeing decisions, in terms of just the variables of shooting and scoring and all that kind of stuff. But that's all well and good for him. But as you say, for us, like, we are in a results business and results matter. And when you look at not only where we've been, but if you look at what Arsenal have got coming up in the next few weeks, so they're playing Spurs, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Brentford, Villa, and someone else I can't remember. Like, there is opportunities within there for Arsenal to not win games.
I can't be bothered with that aspect of life at the minute.
No, but
I'm not interested in what they're doing at all. We need to just
I agree.
I'm not doing any maths. I'm not looking at anyone else's fixture list.
But what I mean
we're
is,
in fucking 8th.
What I mean is, like, what feels better than a Liverpool win? It's a Liverpool win when they've dropped points as well. And I know what you mean. And you're right.
If you're in a title race.
No. But look, I'm actually quite happy in a weird way that people aren't talking about Liverpool for the title anymore. That everyone's going to be Arsenal City. Let them two fight it out. Because that means that we can potentially get ourselves back together and then kind of slowly tiptoe our way in. But every time you have a good performance, it builds confidence. And if that so happens at the same time as they had a bad performance, think about last season. Think about how good it was. Like, you and I, after the Brighton game, in the Monroe, watching Arsenal getting beat by Bournemouth. That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it made the game more fun, didn't it? This is what I'm talking about. Like, you can add, you can make it cumulative. Look, I know that we aren't talking about Liverpool as title contenders right now, and that makes sense after what we've seen.
We're only 3 points ahead of fucking Everton. That's how bad things are currently. So I'm not. I honestly can't. I can't do title contender chat when we've been shite.
But also, what that tells you is how tight it is. So there was last week when we beat, not last week, 2 weeks ago when we beat Villa, we went from 10th to 3rd in 90 minutes.
And I mean, well, 1 point off 4th, but you know what I mean? But 8 points off Arsenal, though. And there's like the obvious thing to say, which is like, yes, we need to go on some big run then, and they need to start dropping points. Neither of which I'm particularly convinced about at the moment, but we'll see. I know they dropped points against Sunderland.
So they draw against Spurs. They have an unlucky defeat against Chelsea. Liverpool win against Forest. Liverpool win against West Ham. That's 5 of those 8 points right there. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
we should see. I don't want
We've got to do our job first, and obviously that's the most important. Like, there's no getting around that part. But what I'm saying is that there are ways in which it can change quickly. The whole picture.
David Campbell in the comments, as I've never had this one before. I've had various lookalikes over the years.
Hello. This should be good.
He says, good to see Robbo back after moonlighting playing right back for Brighton under his alias Joel Velton.
Aha!
I mean, I've had a look.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a bit of a square head and some, and some facial hair. So, yeah, he's ticked those boxes, hasn't he? I mean, that's a new one. I've had Eddie Howe, which I've had fucking Phil Neville, which is fucking just cruel. Absolutely fucking bang out of order, that one. Can't remember who else I've had now. But yeah, that's a new one, mate, so fair play. Thanks for that.
We won't mention JC.
Oh, yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, I've done that one to death. Yeah, James Corden. What? Our beloved chairman. Anyway, some other little bits and bobs that are spotted in the media if we had time to talk about, and we do have a little bit of time left. I read a piece from Barney Ronay, who is a great writer in The Guardian. Seems to divide opinion, but his actual writing skills are very, very good, I would say. Anyway, so he says, he wrote a piece about basically that it was a bit mad that Slot hadn't dropped Mo Salah. Because, you know, he quite clearly hadn't been great. And he threw this in. He says, since their last trip to the Etihad in February, when Salah was brilliantly decisive, Liverpool have played 11 games against City, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Real Madrid and PSG, losing 7 of them. Salah played in all of these, contributed 0 goals, and performed most of the time like a Salah-shaped void, a ghost at the edge of things.
Well, so there's 2 things here. I put
Thomas Muller's been thrown in now.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's having a go now.
No. It's basically from your eyebrows up. Like, you don't look like anything like him from the eyebrows down.
From the eyebrows. That's from the floorboards up in it. Paul Weller.
Paul Weller. But the Salah thing, right? So a lot of those games that Barney mentions came at the end of the season. And this is something we have traditionally seen. March, April, May aren't Mo's best months of the season. We often see, even when he's at his very best, a tapering off at that point. Now, it just so happened that Liverpool had built themselves a decent lead in the league, so it didn't matter so much. And obviously, we had contributions from everyone else. But that doesn't surprise me as much as what we've been seeing since August. Because, by contrast, the first few months of the season is normally where he's at his best. This is normally where we're seeing peak Salah. So it's these games that I would say are concerning. On the point of it being a shock that Slot hasn't dropped him, well, look at what he did last season. Yeah. Look at the fanfare around his new contract. His massive new contract. Right.
But that can't dictate. I mean, I think Barney's point was like, that can't dictate that you're just then automatically in the team.
No, it can't.
If you stink the gaff out, you should.
But I think to have done it immediately would have caused potentially as many reactions as it could do now. I think now we're at the point where it's like, okay, this needs to change. There needs to be a little bit more jeopardy in it. So I kind of get both arguments. The other thing I would say, who's playing? If we're dropping Salah, who's playing?
Yeah.
Because Frimpong is injured, and the jury is out whether he's actually a really good as a forward anyway. I mean, I'm not entirely sure where he fits in this Liverpool team at the moment. Hopefully, he will start to get better.
We've got to come up with something when he goes to African Cup of Nations, one way or another, hasn't it? And there's loads of talk of Semenyo today. For 75 million quid. Would he want to come to Liverpool? With Mo Salah in his way, if you like. I know he can play in other positions.
No.
But it's just like, fuck me, how many forwards do we have?
All of them. Yeah. Give me all the forwards. No, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how much time between now. I think there's 7 games between when we think Salah's going to go to AFCON. It'll be interesting to see how much time he spends playing in those 7 games. Is Slot going to think, well, I've only got him for this period of time, so I'm going to get the most out of him? Or is he got to think, well, I need to start trialing things?
We have seen some flashes, haven't we, I thought, of, like the sort of green shoots, if you like, where, he was beating his man again, and, you were like, there he is.
Yeah,
I mean, that's him there. Well, where's that fella been? Another thing I just wanted to mention as well, it was a piece that Cy Hughes wrote for the Athletic about Jota. Now, I know Cy fairly well, and he lives not far from me. And we actually spoke about this a while ago, just we had a brew and a catch up, and we talked about this Jota stuff, so I wasn't too surprised when he wrote it. I feel like a lot of people have been thinking this kind of stuff, but don't really want to say it, or not sure how to say it. So Sai, I think, has said it really well and in a considerate way. Essentially, he's talking about the idea of, how much it's still impacting on Liverpool, how that even some of the pundits who are, getting stuck into Liverpool are maybe not considering it, and maybe not talking about it, and maybe not mentioning it. He doesn't mention, but I will, that there are lots of bellends online, because that's what online is. So even when Sai writes his piece and he puts it out there, there's loads of people, well, we never heard this in the first, when you were winning 7 games on the run. And it's like,
actually, we did.
Almighty. We did, yeah. Actually, we did, because like when we seen Mo Salah in tears and that, we talked about it. When Preston North End was like awake, we did talk about it. So yeah, just nonsense from people who just seemingly have nothing better to do. But there's a bit of it in Sign's piece where he says, if there is a hierarchy of suffering, then it is Jota's family who must be considered first, and perhaps they take solace from hearing his song being sung. Yeah, for the players and staff at Liverpool, it may be different. It would be understandable if each time they heard the song, especially at Anfield, it made some check what they were doing. It would also be understanding if each time they've needed a goal in a game, minds darted to the occasions, Jota rescued them. It would be understandable if these once apparently invincible title winners stared across at the space in the changing room where Jota used to get ready and felt a surge of grief or began to wonder about how important football really is. Now, I think that last bit's really good as well, because I think that's the bit where I think some of the players might be at, and I think maybe Mo Salah's been at, because what was it he said? I'm just vibing here, so I can't remember, but he tweeted something, didn't he? Like around the time that we lost Jota, and it was something about sort of like
this is not
being
important.
Scared or something.
Scared to go back to the training ground.
Yeah, and it was like this has affected him.
Yeah.
It's affected them deeply. And I thought the other thing that was quite telling lately, or was the Jurgen Klopp podcast as well with Stephen Bartlett, because when he spoke about him, and he spoke about him well, and he spoke about him passionately, and he said, he was talking about the effect on the boys, the effect in the club. And I think I've mentioned on here before as well, I've heard from, through stuff I do, that, he was it wasn't just like players, he was mates with staff, with executives, with, and so it was, as you'd expect, really deeply felt. And, and if people outside want to make some weird collateral about Liverpool fans mention this, well, fucking let them, the weird fuckers. But I think there's something in what Si's talking about here, because the conversation no one wants to have is, well, when don't we just sing this song? And no one wants to say that. But, do we just sing it forever? Into an infinity in that minute of the game? Or do we say at some point, look, it's been respectful, it was right, but maybe, as Si is talking about, this has a detrimental effect on everyone else's mindset, that every game you're singing about someone they lost.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird though, because I think for the fans, it is their way of keeping him in their minds and in their hearts and reminding everybody that he is still a part of this squad, spiritually, if not necessarily there. But going back to what Si was saying about the hierarchy of grief, like, I think if there's going to be any change in this, it's going to have to come from people who are higher up that hierarchy. So whether it is the family or whether it is the players and the coaches, that's probably the only way there's going to be a change. Because I think even if large groups of fans say we think it's having a bad effect and we're probably going to stop singing it, if other people are going to disagree and be like, well, no, I still want to sing. I still want to pay my respects.
Yeah, it's not something that's easily answered.
No, exactly. And we are all in uncharted territory for all of this. And it goes back to what you're saying about the players. And I think about this so much, not just the fact that, like you say, he was someone who was so well loved and so well liked. I just think about the role that he played within the group as a human, as someone who was able to lighten the mood, who was able to lean on in times when you weren't feeling at your best, but also the player. That was him in a nutshell. I mean, we used to talk about the old 3-1 Jota. That was him. That was his role. His role was to come out there and be the finisher, be this person who put games to bed and come up with the goal when you really, really needed a goal. And it can be hard to think, oh, he's not there anymore. And this is the other thing I wanted to mention. I think I might have mentioned it before, but if not, I'm going to say it again. I actually think it's just as hard for the players who didn't know him, because you aren't at that same emotional level. So when some of the guys start talking about him and sharing stories,
I think Si talked about that, didn't he, in the piece about the the new lads who've come in and like they're coming into a club where they're buzzing that they've signed for Liverpool and they're buzzing to be part of a team that is the champions and all the rest of it. And then maybe it's like the looking around at everyone. And like, what it's like anything, isn't it? If you're thrown into a room with people in a new job or whatever, you don't really know them.
No.
I mean, I know like one or two of them will know each other and things like that, like they always do in football. But what I mean is, if like say someone starts crying or something, and you don't know them, well, what's your move?
Yeah.
It's hard and it's difficult, and you haven't got that connection with them that you would have with people you know better. So there's loads of dynamics that, could be going on that we don't know about, that you're probably not going to hear about until maybe, people are writing books years on and things like that. But I think it's fair to say that, we did say on here repeatedly, I remember you saying it, that, we need to acknowledge that, we need to be fair about that, and we need to not sort of get stuck into the players, be kind around it, essentially. And it does feel, I think size piece is quite timely, because it does feel like that started to get lost a little bit. And so, I think it's a good way to have a debate about it, the fact that he's written that piece. So, yeah, fair play to him for doing it, because I think, like I say, a lot of people would have thought about it, would have talked about it, and then just thought, well, I don't know how to approach it, I don't know how to say it. I think he's struck the balance very well there.
I think there are some people who are almost scared of talking a bit because it sounds like excuses, but I think as a society we've got bad at deciphering the difference between excuses and reasons. I think something can be a reason without it necessarily being an excuse to hide behind. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in, like you say, the discourse and what others say and all that kind of stuff. None of that really matters. Like, these are our lads. Like, we should be protective of them and of their energies and of their feelings more often than not. So if someone else is going to say some shit about them, let them.
We asked for a few questions as well, just to wrap up. One from Carl, who said, Salah is a club legend, no doubt, but could him going away to AFCON this year actually pave the way for the new Liverpool? He says, with Vert at the tip of a midfield diamond, Ekitike and Isak as a front two. Discuss.
I think it could happen. I think there's certainly going to be an element where Slot's thinking, I'm going to try some stuff out. I'm going to see what it looks like to be without Salah. And this is a funny thing, isn't it, as well? Like, we're all talking before about how it's amazing he hasn't been dropped yet and he hasn't been performing and all those kind of things. But, like, there might be an element of, well, when he's not around and he's not around permanently, it's like, shit, I kind of wish I had him to call on. So I'm hoping that it will be the start of the genesis of the post-Salah era. It's handy in that respect, but we'll see. There's a part of me that's thinking, considering he's going to be playing 2 international tournaments between January and the start of next season, if it really goes well without him, could this be his last year? Could there be a deal to be done with people who are maybe looking to do a deal last year or the year before, where everyone shakes on it and says, look, it's time to move on to the next phase?
And that's the thing as well, isn't it, about, back to the Rone point about sort of, not, it almost feels like he hinted at something. I don't know if there was any insight into that, or it was just, like you're a journalist and so you throw a point in to say, maybe it's this. But he was sort of saying about like senior players who have done a lot for a club, which Salah clearly has, and, he's a legend of the club and he's right up there among the top goal scorers, etc. He's on this huge contract. Almost a thing of, I get picked, I'm in the team, I've got some kind of power. And we saw maybe a little bit to that dynamic at times with Klopp.
Oh, yeah.
Like those two didn't always seemingly
West Ham away.
Eye to
Everyone
eye.
always remembers that.
So, that could be another thing where, like, we don't know, do we? But if Semenyo came in as an example, did well, like if we got him, start of January, and he came in, did well, and it was like, well, lad,
yeah,
like he deserves to be in the side now. And then maybe he throws his toys out the pram, which is what people might be hinting at. Then it could be the beginning of the end. But and like football can go, it was such a saga, wasn't it, to get him to sign up?
Yeah.
And they've given this huge deal, 480 grand a week or whatever it is, the biggest deal in the history of Liverpool Football Club. But the fact is that if he doesn't deliver any numbers,
It needs to be a hierarchy. It does. It needs to be. Sorry, meritocracy is what I was looking for. It needs to be you're in it on merit, and he can think that he should have a. Well, I don't think he does think he has a divine right. I think he always believes in himself to say that he will always be the best option, but I don't think it means that's not the same as him saying that there's a divine right to be in the side every week. I do think that realism is going to have to kick in at some point. I always thought it would. I didn't think that between now and the end of his contract, when he'll be 34, he was always going to be a week in, week out regular starter. I thought there was going to be a point in those 2 years.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it literally can't. You know, it can't go on forever. It can't. It can't. It can't. No, Semenyu's not going to AFCON.
No, Ghana didn't qualify.
Didn't qualify. Yeah. What was the other question? Oh yeah, Whitey sent in a question. He says, "I think we win every Premier League game up to the game at Arsenal. Am I crazy?" So let's have a look. So he's saying we're going to beat Nottingham Forest at home, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds away, Brighton at home, Tottenham away, Wolves at home, Leeds at home, Fulham away, and then we'll be on the 8th of January then playing Arsenal on a Thursday.
In isolation,
is he crazy to say we will win all of those games in the Premier League?
I mean, sitting here right now, yes. In isolation, you can make a point.
Anthony Boylan says yes. Call the men in white suits.
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's like you need to see some evidence of Liverpool being able to go on a run like that. If you take all those games in isolation, you say that Liverpool have got a good chance of getting a result in all of them. But to string them together, they need to be playing in a way that we haven't seen yet. So, like I was saying before, I think this is going to be a roller coaster of a season.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some of those games where you go into it, Liverpool will have won maybe 2 or 3 in a row,
and some of the issues just aren't solvable. I don't think as well. Like if you think about some of the reasons that we're losing games, like Wirtz, Salah, McAllister, they're all little fellas, and they're not good. They're not going to get big overnight.
No,
do you know what I mean?
No,
and that sort of physicality side of games that we have definitely dipped in, and we have definitely lost out on, and long throws, corners, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's solvable in an instant where we're going to go on this mad run starting Saturday.
Not from set pieces. I think the long balls in terms of positioning themselves better to be able to pick up the second balls, because again, one of the athletic piece that you referenced before, there was some good numbers. Like Virgil was winning more aerial duels than any other player in the league. Konate's 4th on that list. So we're winning headers, but the problem is those headers are going to the opposition. So we need to be in a way so those two can be more aware of heading the ball towards the red shirt, and the red shirts can be more aware of placing themselves in positions to pick up those headers. That we can do. And I think that will make a massive difference in terms of our ability to play against that kind of tactic. But we've got to see it. Like, it's all well and good me sitting here saying all this. We've got to see it.
Yeah. Okay, that will do us, I think, for the free show. Shout out to Smoky Bacon and Cheese Ridges, which are this week's crisp of choice. Yes. Fucking beautiful, by the way. All the way from New Zealand, from the mighty Quinn, LFC Elvis. Thanks again, mate, if you're watching. We are slowly but surely working through the shitload.
It's going to take a while
of crisps that he sent us, but they're belters.
Yeah.
They're really good. So if you're in New Zealand, pick up some Ridges. They get the late challenge seal of approval. Do come over to the Patreon as well. We're going to have another chat there after a cup of tea and what have you, and some crisps. We shall be talking about on there a bit of life stuff, because, you know, that was enough footy for one Monday, wasn't it? Especially when the Reds haven't played, the Reds have been not the best, etc. and so on. We're going to talk about some different stuff in the Patreon, some lifey stuff, some, you know, have we seen anything decent on the telly? How can I get fit now that I'm not walking every day for charity? Things like that. and other stuff, no doubt. So come over if you fancy a bit more of a life chat. It's only £1 a week for the extra show, and just throwing in keeps the whole thing going, like I always say. We've got a Buy Me a Coffee site as well at Late Challenge Podcast. Buy Me a Coffee. You can throw in towards the cost of running all of this thing there as well if you don't want to sign up for Patreon. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to go over and do it. I need some smoky bacon and cheese crisps and a cup of tea. So we shall see you next week. Hopefully, after a Liverpool victory against Nottingham Forest. Come on, the Reds!